My friend, you don't have an anger problem. You don't even have a discipline problem. And you definitely don't have I need to try harder problem. What you actually have is a timing problem. Because the difference between reacting and responding is not personality. It's not maturity. It's not even emotional control. It's the space between stimulus and action. And most driven men, they don't have control of that space. They skip it or collapse it. Or they get pulled so fast through it, they don't even realize it existed. That's why you go from calm to explosive. That's why you say things that you don't really mean. That's why you regret those decisions that don't match who you actually are. Today, my friend, I'm going to break down why that actually happens. And more importantly, I'm going to give you 5 ways that you can actually control the pause. So you stop reacting and start responding like a man who is in control of himself. So here's the truth that most people won't say clearly. My friend, you're not reacting to the situation. You're reacting to the speed of the situation. Let me explain. Every external event hits your system. A comment from your wife, spouse, partner, a stressful moment of work, a disrespectful tone, a mistake you made. And your brain immediately runs a process. Interpret, predict, and protect. Now this happens in milliseconds. And if that process, it runs too fast, you don't respond. You just execute. And that's the problem. Driven men are wired for execution. You take action fast, you solve problems fast, you move forward fast. Now that works in business, and that works in physical training, and that works in building things. But my friend, in emotional moments, speed becomes your liability. Because you just don't give yourself enough time to check the meaning, check the emotion, check the intention. So instead of choosing your behavior, you default to your conditioning. That's why you react. Most guys think, I just need to calm down. No, that's weak thinking. Because by the time you're calmed down, you've already lost control of the moment. Calm is not the solution. Control is the solution. And control doesn't come by suppressing your emotions. It comes from controlling when you act. That's the game. Not less emotion, better timing. If you don't learn how to control the timing of your response, you will always be at mercy of your reactions. So here's how we're going to fix it. I'm going to give you 5 ways to control the pause. Not theory, not mindset stuff, actual control points inside your system. Because once you control the pause, you control the outcome. So the first skill is super simple. You need to, number 1, extend the gap between the trigger and the action. Right now, your system looks like this. Trigger, reaction. We need to turn that into trigger, gap, reaction. Or trigger, pause, reaction. Because my friend, that gap is everything. Inside this gap is where choices live. But here's the problem. Your system is trained to collapse in that gap. Because speed feels like strength. Fast decisions. Fast answers. Fast reactions. You've built identity around being quick. So slowing down, it just feels wrong. But here's the truth. Speed without control is instability. So your job is to deliberately slow the moment down. Practically, it looks like pause your speech, delay your response, take a breath before answering. It sounds basic, but it's not. Because in that moment, your system will fight you. It'll say, just say it. Just fix it. Just respond. And that's exactly when you need to interrupt it. If you don't extend the gap, you will never gain control. So here's where most men get it wrong. They treat emotion like instruction. You feel anger, so you act aggressively. You feel pressure, so you rush. You feel disrespected, so you push back. But emotion is not instruction. Emotion is information. That's it. It's telling you something that's happening internally. It's not telling you what to do externally. The moment you treat emotion like a command, you lose control of that behavior. So inside that pause, you need to ask, what am I feeling? Not what should I do? And that single shift creates distance. And distance creates control. Because now you're observing your state instead of being consumed by it. You can't control what you don't identify. So point 3 is to name the trigger. Most men react because they don't even know what triggered them. They think it's the situation. It's not. It's the meaning attached to the situation. This is where two people can be in the same situation and give it two separate meanings. One feels disrespected. One feels unbothered. One feels failure. One's just neutral, just learning. One feels rejected. One feels unaffected or indifferent. One loses control and one is composed. Those, my friend, are the real triggers. So when something hits you, you need to label it. This feels like disrespect. This feels like I'm losing control. This feels like I'm being judged. Now, why does this matter? Because once you name it, you can reduce its power. Unidentified emotion controls you. Identified emotion, it can be managed. Now, if you skip this step, you're gonna stay reactive. Now, here's something most driven men overlook. Your reaction is not mental, it's physiological. So point number 4 is to slow your body to control your mind. When you're reacting, your heart rate spikes. Your breath shortens. Your muscles tighten. Because your body is preparing for action. And if your body is in that reactive state, your mind is going to follow. So instead of trying to think better, you need to slow your body down first. This is the opposite of the system: mind, emotion, body. This is body, emotion, mind. One controlled breath. A long inhale and a longer exhale. Relax your jaw. Drop your shoulders. This alone can change the entire trajectory of your response, because you're signaling to your system, we're not under threat. And when your body stabilizes, your thinking, it improves instantly. Now, this is the final piece, and this is where everything comes together. Point 5 is to choose identity over impulse. Inside that pause, you need to ask yourself one question. Who do I want to be in this moment? Not what do I feel, not what do I want to say, but who am I choosing to be? Because identity drives behavior. And if you don't choose identity in that moment, your impulse will choose it for you. An impulse is based on past conditioning, not who you're trying to become. So instead of reacting like the version of you who gets triggered, you respond like the version of you that is in control. That's the shift. And it doesn't require perfection. It requires awareness and choice. Let me be clear. You're not going to get this perfect. You're still going to react sometimes. You're still going to miss the pause. That's not failure. That's training. Because what we're doing here is not behavioral change. It's response retraining. And my friend, that takes repetition. But every time you catch it, even half a second earlier, you're building control. So here's what happens when you install this. You stop escalating situations. You stop saying things you regret. You stop creating problems that don't exist. You start becoming the man who is predictable under pressure. Not boring, not passive, but stable. And stability is power. If this hit for you, it's because you see something most men never see. You're not broken. You're just reacting too fast. And once you learn to control the pause, everything changes. So if you're serious about actually installing this into your life, not just understanding it, come join the Identity Code membership program, where you will learn to build the pause, because knowing it isn't enough. You need to train it.